How did you lose your virginity, and at what age? Story 1. I was 16 dating a 25-year-old. He picked me up on my lunch break from work. Walgreens, my first job. We went back to his house. Did it. Then he dropped me back at work. Lunch break was 30 minutes. Had to get back on the register and act like everything was normal. Went home and cried. Never really realized how sad this sounded until typing it out. Edit. I'm very bummed by the amount of replies I've gotten from people with similar stories. I hate that so many can relate to this. I swing back and forth between thinking it wasn't that big a deal and I was a willing participant in the way that I kinda just wanted to get it over with and feeling taken advantage of. The things that happened after are clear to me now to be grooming. I got grounded. So he bought me a phone so I could sneak around my parents and meet with him. He called my school pretending to be my dad to tell them I was sick so I could skip school to be with him. He even filmed us having sex without telling me first. I'm 30 now, and it's been so long that I try to just not think about it. I will say the amount of people in our friend group who turned a blind eye was alarming, and I just want anyone reading this to stand up for girls when they're in that position, if you ever come across it. Story 2. I had just turned 17, lost it to a person that became my girlfriend through the internet, more exactly through Habbo Hotel, haha. This was in 2006 when meeting people through the internet was still considered shameful and weird. We had been seeing each other for a month maybe. We were at my place in my bed. Couldn't get it up the first time, or all night because I was so nervous. Then morning came and everything functioned, and she rode me for the glorious maybe 2 to 3 minutes. Story 3, 21. A girl I had never met before invited herself into my bed and coaxed me into it, which was fine. We had an almost purely sexual relationship for about a month until I found out she was married. I think she was looking for a replacement husband when she realized I wasn't the one she ghosted. Story 4, 22. She later became my wife. I'm honestly shocked at the number of people who lost it after 20 years old. I have felt like it was rare. Joke's on me, we really are all the same. Story 5. I played in a really shitty metal band when I was 16. Me and this girl were dating and she hinted at times she wanted to have sex. We were at band practice and a handful of the guys were smoking pot and decided to take a break and go throw a football at a park across the road. I tell my bandmates I'm gonna chill in the basement with her because I frankly didn't want to throw a football. My drummer told me he had a monster box in there that had condoms in it. I laughed and my brother who played bass told me to make him proud. We laughed it off. We sit on the couch and watch the show 16 and Pregnant. She turns her head to me and said, "Don't you want to make your brother proud?" I jump up and run to the Monster Energy box. I grab some rubbers and put one on. I thought I ripped it, so I took it off and put another on. Then I thought I ripped that one and put on another after the old ones fell on the floor. Then we start. It was only a few moments when the door opens and all my bandmates walk in on me having relations in my drummer's bed. He freaked out and told them all to get out. We didn't get to finish. It was a really weird experience. Some of those guys began joking about my butt cheeks jiggling. Story 6. I was 17. With a girl I was dating for almost 6 months. Tried to make it classy, got a hotel room and everything. Story 7. Male here. Woman I had been hanging out with near constantly for about 2 months produced a condom one evening and asked, "Do you want to fuck?" I really liked her, so we did. I was 32 years old. Story 8. At 24, awkwardly to what I considered my best friend at the time. She was my assistant manager and we talked all the time in and out of work. But she had a serious drinking problem. She was so drunk she failed to come to work and was fired. I went over to cheer her up and one thing led to another. Family Guy was playing in the background and I did not last that long. Story 9. I was 19 drunk with an exchange student from Korea. She laughed at the end and there was a weird silence, so I went back to my dorm, right downstairs, but realized I didn't have my key on me and my roommate was asleep, so I went back to her room and awkwardly asked if I could stay with her. Next day, she asked me to never speak of what we did. Edit. Not cultural, just embarrassingly bad sex that she didn't want our friends to know about. Story 10. I was 15. It was after a high school football game where some kid picked a fight with me. It wasn't a complete beatdown, but I didn't win the fight. I had just started seeing a girl, and I think she felt bad for me and didn't walk away when we got back to my place, and I offered to show her the black light in my bedroom. About a minute into it, I heard my sister opening the front door, and we had to stop. That was more than enough time, though. Story 11. I promised I wouldn't risk having a kid until I had a job that paid enough for me to support one. I turned 18 and immediately got into construction. Where I'm at, you can support yourself off about $15 an hour if you aren't living in the big cities or if you are fine with crackhead neighbors. That's off 40 hours. I was making $14 an hour and working 50 plus hours a week. So I called my friend, he called a girl. We had sex in the cab of his truck while he sat on the tailgate and had beer. He did not finish the first one before we were done. He shook his head and told us he was drinking at least 3, so we might as well keep trying. That man is gonna be the best man at my wedding next month. Story 12. 15 years old to the 18-year-old DJ I was dating, in the back of his red Jeep. I had zero idea of the mechanics of sex, and it happened so fast that I didn't even realize that what we did was sex until afterwards when he asked if I was on birth control. Fast forward a decade, and I see his mugshot on the news. He was arrested for arson in 2020. Story 13. At the age 16. To my now husband. It was good, except for the condom coming off and having the get the morning after pill. At least I'll never forget. Story 14. I was 27. After years of expecting life to hand me a romantic interest, I got sick of the self-pity and feeling like I wasn't normal and decided to fake it till I made it, having not even had a girlfriend before. Part of that was abandoning the idea of having firsts with anyone, and it being special. At that age, I thought women would find it weird, or wouldn't want to deal with an inexperienced guy. So I never mentioned it. I just wanted to feel like a normal late 20s, doing normal late 20s things. Eventually, I hit it off with a woman and ended up having sex with her. It was like a weight had been lifted on my shoulders and I could get on with my life. Other than the mild deception, I don't regret it. I just wanted to feel like an adult, and I succeeded in doing that. Story 15. With a good friend of mine at 14, I think. We both had fucked up childhoods and fucked up home lives, so we kinda just explored awkward sexual stuff with each other. Friends with benefits, I guess. She was a great person. She passed away of a drug overdose 5 years later. I think about her often. Story 16. 21 years. College dorm. Busted my nut immediately upon getting like halfway in. I didn't tell her I guess I would have been ashamed, embarrassed. Shouldn't have been though, given that was my natural response to how awesome it felt to be inside for the first time. I had called my girlfriend earlier in the day who was not a virgin and said I was ready and excited. She was too. We stopped for literally a minute after I came. She asked if anything was wrong. I said no, I just need a minute. She was patient and loving. I kept my condom on. I don't think I switched. Then went right back in and enjoyed some more. Nutted again. Story 17. To a girl I'd known since middle school. She was at a sleepover with some friends our freshman year of high school. Got a phone call at like 2 a.m. from her and her friends asking if I can get them beer. I had a case from a party in the fridge in my room. I was living with my aunt and uncle, and they really didn't care if I drank, so I drove over to her friend's house, and it's like 6 girls having a mini party basically. Her parents were gone. They had me park a block away because no guys rule, and snuck in. Well, they all thank me, and of course the topic if sex comes up. Well, Katie and I both admit that we are virgins, so the committee decides we should have sex. We were both down, so fuck it, let's fuck. So yeah, my first time I had an audience. Still friends with Katie to this day. I hang out with her and her wife quite often. Story 18. I was 15 just a few weeks before my 16th. I wanted to lose my virginity and asked a senior on my water polo team if he would be up for the task. Invited him over one night and had quite an incredible experience. He was gentle and consistently checking in throughout the experience to ensure I was still okay with how everything was progressing. Story 19. At 25, with my first girlfriend I met in a Twitch chat and who lived over 4,000 miles away. I flew out to Finland to see her after chatting for 6 months, and on the second day out here, I never left. I got the room mood right and thought I was really excited. Turns out I was really nervous and could not stay hard. This persistent for a week after the first time, and I felt like she was going to leave me over it. She didn't. We are married now. Story 20, 15 years old, in her basement. She handed me a bottle of cheap white wine after her mother left for work. It was fantastic, to tell you the truth. And then we were just trying to do it all the time, anywhere. Oh, to be young again. Story 21. 13 male, first time was 14 female. It was my first time drinking too and had too much. Woke up the next day in her tent. She told me what happened and we went to her place to play GTA Vice City until we did it again. Dated her for a couple of years until she and her brother died in a car crash. She was mostly sober and took advantage of the situation but was incredibly apologetic and broke down when I told her that it was my first time. She did everything possible to make sure I knew I was appreciated in the following years. Story 22. We were both 17 at a friend's party, and it just happened after we snuck into a bedroom. We were each other's first. Still together 15 years later, and expecting our third baby. High school sweethearts. Story 23. Honestly, the first time for me wasn't that great. Probably because I had high expectations from what I had seen in movies and porn. So when we were done, I was like, oh, okay. Is there something more happening? Oh, that's all. Not that I didn't like it or anything, but yes, I had already fantasized about the first time so much that when it really happened, it felt really, well, normal. While making the video, I noticed a lot of 20-plus adults who are still virgins. Great lesson for any teenagers in here who feel peer pressure from their peers to have sex while still in high school. Everyone is not doing it. Let me know in the comments. What do you guys think? Alright guys, that's it for today. Thanks for all the love and support, and I will see you guys in next video.